Hi there, welcome back to Market RC. Over the next few weeks we're going to be building the Tamiya Grand Hauler. Chassis built. This is the chassis build video, and then I'm going to do a video on painting the body, putting all the chrome on, and then putting the light and sounds on. So it'll be a 4-part series. I'll get the box open. I'm going to go through it stage by stage, page by page pretty much. Give you a little brief description of the parts that come in the kit, and then put those parts on the chassis, and then work my way through the manual like that until we end up with a finished chassis with the wheels and suspension on, motor and gearbox in. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's crack on. Here we have all the parts laid out for pages 4 and 5. We've got our ginormous chassis rails, a pair of those, 2 servos, 2 servo savers, the T-pieces that hold the chassis spacing apart, a couple of axle brackets, loads and loads of screws. I like to do my screws, each pack I empty into one of these little glass ramekins, because normally Tamiya put the screws in, so each pack will basically do a stage of the build. So I'll pop all those bits together and then show you what it looks like, and then I'll work my way through the manual 2 pages at a time, laying the parts out, building it up so you can get an idea of how these trucks go together. I'll get all these bits put together and then I'll show you what it's going to look like. Here's all the parts put together from pages 4 and 5. Ladder chassis, servos in the front, 1 for gear selection for the 3-speed gearbox, 1 for steering, aluminium ladder chassis, really well made. So I'll lay the parts out for pages 6 and 7, show you what they're all going to look like, and then we'll put those stages together. We have all the parts laid out, fake aluminium shocks, they're really nice. All the bracketry's metal to add to the realism of like a full-size truck. You've also got solid metal axles, which I think they're really cool. Also got your leaf springs, a little bit of flex in them. And everything else, all the bracketry to hold them on, is exactly the same as a full-size truck or full-size lorry. So I'll pop those few bits onto the chassis and then I'll show you what it's going to look like. Here we have the last 2 pages put onto the model. As you can see there, it's got your springs on, so you get articulation on the axle. The shock absorbers don't really do anything, they're more there just for show, so they do look really nice being aluminium. And we've also got the rear springs. You've got 2 sets of them to go on. Everything else is metal. You've got the rear gearbox housings are plastic to take all the differentials, and all the internal gears, everything's metal. You've even got metal out drives, metal diff gears. You do actually get bearings that Tamiya supply for this particular part of the build, and then all the other bearings in the kit are bushing, like brass bushing. So I bought a bearing kit there from Yeah Racing. Even got the metal out drives, metal drive shafts. So I'll pop all those bits together, show what it looks like on the model. Here we have the rear leaf springs put onto the truck now. Haven't mounted the rear axle yet. And also one of Tamiya's metal differentials, which looks super sturdy, with 3 planetary gears in there. And there's one I put together with the end cap on, all screwed up, Loctited, and should run smooth like that, with no binding on both sides, which that one does. So I'll pop the rest of the axle together, I'll put it onto the truck, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like when them stages are built. Here we have the rear middle axle built up, nothing binding, all thread locked, make sure nothing comes loose. And that's what the gearbox looks like on the inside, on the rear axle housing. Ball racings or bearings, differential, plenty of grease in there. Thought I'd just show you what they look like inside. So I'll put the rest of those pieces together, the rear axle, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's on the truck. Here we have the truck now. Both rear axles are on. You can see the where the leaf springs work there, independently. Front's all finished. Steering's all connected up to the servo now underneath. Getting quite heavy. I've upgraded the kit motor to the Tamiya GT motor, just to give it a little bit more torque. So I'll I've got all the parts laid out there now for the gearbox. So I'll put the gearbox together and show what it looks like before I put the housings on, so you can see how all the gears move in and out. And then we'll put it into the truck. Here we have the first gear rods put together. The key point to note is that brass bushing there needs to go facing inwards. Otherwise, over the time, that gear will end up binding and causing all sorts of problems with your gearbox. You've also got the selector forks there. Everything's really nicely well greased, so you don't get any binding on that. And there's half the gearbox casing put together. Bearings in, centre bearing in. Well, was in until it fell out. So I'll put the next two stages together, which is putting the rest of the gears on the rod shafts, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like. Here we have the gearbox completely built up now. Everything's running all nice and free. Putting up the upgraded Tamiya GT tune motor just to give it a bit more torque. Super small pinion to add a bit more torque to the gearbox. And I've used quite a lot of grease in there, so you can see there you've got first gear, it's in second now, and then push over to third. All running freely. So I'll put the gearbox case sides on and then show you what it looks like when it's mounted into the truck. Here we have the gearbox now, put into the chassis. Really long drive shaft, probably the biggest drive shaft Tamiya make, I would have thought. Everything's connected up to the gear shift servo with an adjustable rod. So that's that stage complete, and now we've got the wheels to do. Wheels are pretty cool on these trucks. I mean, they're chrome plated. I do believe you can get actual aluminium and steel wheels online, but I'll just be sticking with the Tamiya plastic ones. So I'll pop all those on and show you what this looks like when it's all put together. Here we have the chassis complete now with its 10 wheels on. Very stiff suspension. And just a note, when you're putting these rear axles on, they need to be offset, otherwise the back wheels will lock up. But I think the detail in the wheels is really good, especially with the little bullet studs on the front wheels. Don't have them on the back wheels, just got the nuts showing, but that's, I think they look pretty cool. So that's the end of the first part of the ground hauler build. There's 3 more parts to come. Part 2, painting the body. Part 3, putting all the chrome on. And part 4, fitting light and sound. So I hope you've enjoyed the first part of this build. And I hope to see you in the next one. And if everybody could like and subscribe, that'd be super cool for a new channel. See you later. Bye.